What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and in this video, I'm bringing you a build that I've loved for a really long time. I've always felt like Mantle of Battle Harmony is just a really underrated exotic. It has the exotic perk Absorption Cells. Final blows with weapons matching your equipped super damage type grants you super energy. When your super is full, you instead gain a temporary bonus to weapon damage of that type. And this is a ×4 weapon surge or 25% more damage. Now, way back in the day, I loved running this on Solar with a Healing Grenade, Ember of Torches for Radiant from our melee, and Ember of Empyrean, which extends Restoration and Radiant with Solar Weapon Final Blows. And then I would pair this with Vex Mythoclast. Believe me, it absolutely cooks. It's also great with Sunshot, but with Particle Deconstruction, this will go harder than ever. So there you go, I just gave you the whole build in the first minute of this video. I will also include a dim link of that version in the description, but truth be told, that was the old meta. Then Prismatic came along in June, and I even highlighted this build as a starter build for Prismatic when it launched because we did not have access to the full suite of Prismatic aspects and fragments. But I never got to make my follow-up video, so here it is. Also, before you comment it, yes, this build would go crazy with the exotic class item if you want to run that. The exotic variant gives you super energy, which is actually what we want for this build. The extra damage is nice, but I always run triple weapon surge anyways. And basically as soon as we get our super with this build, we're using it anyways, so more often than not, we're not even taking advantage of the second part of the exotic. But yeah, since you don't always have your super, then you're not going to be getting that ×4 weapon boost. And since this is such a weapon focused build, it's definitely worth it to run 3 surges on your boots so you're always doing 22% more damage. So yes, if you have the exotic class item, give it a go, but this build is nasty even just on the base exotic. And it recently got a whole lot better, which is why I wanted to make a video on it. In November, Bungie buffed roaming supers so that we can get them 3 times faster in active combat than we did before the update. And why I used to love running it on Solar was because we had permanent restoration and radiant. So we were nigh unkillable with extremely hard hitting weapons. But like I said, when the roaming super buff came out, I knew the perfect pairing. I've spoken in the past about how much I hate the Shadebinder super, aka Winter's Wrath, but one thing that is great about it is it charges up very quickly. And another weapon that I have long had a hard on for is Ager's Scepter. I love the season it came out in, and I've loved the look of it and the function of the weapon ever since I got my hands on it. And I always thought that the supercharged beam was just cool as hell. And with this build, you can abuse that beam like crazy. And with Prismatic, we can also get Radiant, and instead of Restoration, we now get Devour. But on top of this, we can also apply Weaken if we want. So it's really the perfect storm of being a one-man wrecking crew. So you probably see where I'm going with this build. We of course run Ager's Scepter in the top slot, and then we have the Shadebinder super so that we have matching elements to take advantage of the synergy with Mantle of Battle Harmony. And then we have Feed the Void, aka Devour, so if we get an ability kill, we'll get Devour rolling, so that every kill we get after that, we're getting our full health back and grenade energy. The next aspect is completely up to you. For a more aggressive build, I like running Lightning Surge, and for a more passive playstyle, you can go with Hellion. But Lightning Surge did recently get a buff, so that makes it really good for proccing Devour. You can also run Vortex Grenades paired with Facet of Dominance, so now your Void Grenade can apply Weaken, allowing you to deal 15% more damage. And then we have Arcane Needles on, so we can chuck out one of those to apply Radiant with Facet of Dawn, as well as Unravel targets. So now we're dealing 20% more damage with our weapons. Then we have Facet of Devotion. This gives us bonus Light Transcendence energy when we kill enemies afflicted with Strand or Stasis debuffs. Well, when you kill an enemy with Agers, it freezes nearby enemies, and we also throw melees that unravel, so most of the enemies we are killing are afflicted by darkness debuffs. So this will just help us to build our Transcendence meter even quicker because we are primarily dealing darkness damage. For that reason, I like to run the VS Velocity Baton with Attrition Orbs. It prints orbs like crazy, so that can give us Stasis Weapon Surge, and then it also builds Light Transcendence like crazy. Or you could go with a Glaive to match the artifact mods, or really just whatever you want. A Rocket Sidearm could be really good as well. Basically just whatever the activity calls for. Facet of Protection is nice for survivability as it gives us 15% damage reduction when we are surrounded by 3 or more enemies, but this one is optional. And finally, we have Facet of Balance. Rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy, and rapid defeats with darkness damage grants grenade energy. With this build, we are obviously getting a ton of stasis kills, so this will feed into our grenade regen, as does Devour from Feed the Void. And that is important as we can use our Vortex Grenades to weaken everything and build more light transcendence. And there's also a DPS variant to this build. You can swap out Facet of Protection for Facet of Command, which automatically reloads your weapons when you freeze an enemy. If you use the Ager Scepter Super Beam, then this actually applies slow and freeze, and then you can reload your magazine as you're dealing single target damage. And you are actually dealing so much damage so quickly that your super meter doesn't actually drain on a high health target, so it's incredibly powerful. And that is thanks to the recent super cooldown changes and how quickly we can build super now. Onto mods, it's very simple. 2 stasis siphons on the helmet and a heavy ammo finder. On the gloves, momentum transfer and impact induction to feed your grenade and melee energy when you use a grenade or melee. These just feed off each other, so they're really good. I also run a stasis loader, but Ager's Scepter reloads itself on kill, so this isn't needed. You can really just use what you want. The chest piece is just resist mods to match the activity. I already talked about it, but you want triple stasis surge on the boots. I know it's kind of counterproductive to how the exotic works, so this is optional, but that's just how I like to run the build, and it's really effective. Like I said, it is weapon centric, so we may as well juice our weapons up as much as we can. And finally, time dilation to make our surges last longer. And then bomber and outreach for more grenade and melee energy when we cast down our rift or phoenix dive. Though you could also run a special finisher mod here instead. Especially with VS Velocity Baton, like I said, you can just print orbs and then make special whenever you're running low. This is a double special loadout, so it's something to think about. But I liked using this in things like Onslaught and Tomb of Elders, and those have rally flags and ammo chests, so ammo was never really a concern. And that brings me to the final point. Yes, this build could work in GMs, especially team GMs, but where it shines is seasonal content, and it is so much fun in there. Or even master lost sectors. Because lost sectors are typically so short, you will never really run out of ammo, and this build puts in work. And as I showed, you can use the Ager's Beam for some respectable DPS. And speaking of DPS, in your heavy slot, you can also run whatever you like. Fusion rifles are featured in the artifact this season, but I don't think any of the stasis options are all that powerful. Maybe Fire and Forget, which is a craftable 3-round burst linear fusion rifle from Season of the Seraph, and you can use Field Prep and Frenzy or Chill Clip to deal some respectable damage. Reed's Regret is another option, but that is a super old Trials weapon, so I'm not sure how many people would have it. Last season, I loved running this with a bait and switch VS Chill inhibitor, and it put in work. Like I said, the choice is really up to you. But yeah, this is just a super fun build that I've always enjoyed over the years, and I'm glad I finally was able to showcase it in a proper build video. Anyways, that's it. If you found it helpful or informative, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. And if you're still here, thanks so much for watching to the end. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Hey, if you're still here, then thanks so much for watching to the end. If you like what I do and you want to support me further, then consider becoming a channel member. You'll get your name featured on the end screen, custom badges, and other cool rewards. You can also join my community Discord if that interests you, and if you want to see me stream, be sure to follow me on Twitch at itstizzle7 where I stream semi-regularly. Those are linked in the description. Anyways, that's enough self-promotion. Thanks for watching. Take care.